Joining us now is Representative Ron Kind. Thank you so much for being with us today. You've expressed some concerns about the U.S. military role in Libya. I know the President tonight is going to lay out his plan and the reason we're there. What are you specifically looking for?
Yeah, I am a little bit concerned, as people back home have been telling me as well. Lack of a clear definition or clear objective of what we're trying to achieve. No one has yet to explain to me how any of this ends. And the dangerous precedent I think we're establishing that whenever there's a civil war breaking out in any country throughout the world, is it now the U.S. and NATO policy to intervene to avoid bloodshed, which invariably follows any type of civil war? And given how fluid the situation is in the Middle East, it could be Yemen next, or Syria, or even Iran. And so I'm going to be obviously tuning in to hear what the President has to say, hoping to get some clarification, and then asking some tough questions when we're out in Washington this week. Now,
I know a lot of voters and a lot of people are curious and are going to tune in tonight because they're not really sure either. Is that the same way throughout Congress? Not a lot of people in Congress really know how this
Yeah, there was very little consultation leading up to the decision to intervene. But, you know, we're wrestling with budget deficits right now. Our military is stretched, I fear, to the limit. I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan numerous times. You can see it in their eyes, multiple deployments, and with the families back home. So at a time when we're trying to reduce expenditures, stop stretching our military, we have another major military involvement in North Africa this time. So I think there are a lot of questions that need clarification.
Now, something you mentioned before, but I definitely want to get back to it, is do you see this as kind of a subtle policy shift? Usually we get involved when, you know, like you said, our own security is at stake, but this seems to be, you know, the security of the people in Libya. Do you see this kind of policy?
You're right. Usually the fundamental question that should be asked every time we're deploying our own military, what is the direct national security threat towards the United States? Again, that is not here in Libya. In fact, Secretary Gates over the weekend admitted as such. But let's face it, the President was facing a no-win situation. The forces were mounting against the people in Benghazi. If that was allowed to continue and there was a bloodbath, he would have been criticized for that. I was happy, however, seeing Arab League support and UN Security Council support. Russia, China very easily could have vetoed it. They chose not to, which is an implicit message that they're sending. And I think given the Arab League support for the no-fly zone, they're sending a signal to the other dictators in the region that they will not tolerate a wholesale slaughter of the civilians in those countries.
There was that UN resolution in support to, you know, to cease the slaughter of those people. Don't you think sometimes you need to take a step past the resolution, though, and use military force, as the President did?
Well, I'm glad, again, that we're handing this operation over to NATO leadership. But let's face it, the U.S. is primarily NATO, and we are going to have a substantial involvement with Libya. And we'll have to wait to see how events unfold in other countries. But again, it gets me back to my original thought. I mean, if we're going to be committing our men and women in uniform into a dangerous situation, there should be a clear mission, and there should be some national security threat to our country that would justify such an action being taken.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for being with us today. And again, we can see the President's speech. He's supposed to start at somewhere around 6:30. That is tentative. It could change a few minutes either way, but you can see it live here right on News 8. Lisa?